Welcome to the Vivify Humanity Podcast. My name is Jeff Jones,
I'm Joseph Howard.
and today we'd like to talk to you about meditation. I feel like every answer that I've given for Joseph's questions, um, how I work through limiting beliefs, even coming up with topics for the podcast, like taking time and sitting with self. We repeatedly come back to that. This feels like this has happened in my life. I do this, I do that, we do this, we do that. And then I sit with myself. So I think it'll be beneficial for all of us to speak about what that is, how that feels, what it looks like for us, and also for you to see and hear about the similarities that like Joseph and I have with meditation. Similarities, yes, we're going to the same place, but the practice itself is the approach has been different. I don't, I guess I'm curious um, how you started. Like it literally was me just sitting down, only having heard of like what meditation would be like, um, an absence of thought, transcendence, that is supposed to occur immediately. That I'm going to sit down and, oh wow, things have really slowed down. Mine is cleared. I I wasn't taught, and I like that. I like that I got to learn on my own. And where it may have taken some time, and I saw that in my yoga practice, lifting weights, and even in meditation, where I approach this on my own, it served in teaching me a lot in a way where I can share it. It's lived and it's experienced. I'm curious, is it the same for you, or did you like follow a technique in the beginning? Was there something that inspired you, a book, a person? How did you come into meditation?
Meditation for me was a means to an end in the beginning. It was something to do to have a progression within lucid dreaming.
Mm,
And through that, I found one of the greatest teachers that I've encountered, Tenzin Wangyal Rinpoche. In his book, it's not the art of lucid dreaming, it's Tibetan Yoga's Dream and Sleep. And it was practices, very simple practices, calm, abiding, Zen, which is just to look at an object for a period of time and to not to think and just to look at it. And if anything came up, to let it pass. Um, Once I started really getting into that and within some breathing exercises, some purification practices, basic inhales and exhales, nothing even counting. Uh, I started to see that time would be different, perceived differently. It wasn't, there was, I could call it notes in between the music. And the music is everything that's happening within life. And in between that music, there's just times of clarity. And my goal became, or my purpose drive became to extend those periods of clarity and to see the world more vividly and without a um, grasping of trying to be within the world. What I mean by that, it happens to bring you outside of what's happening. You're more of an observer. You can step outside. You have more
mm,
time to react. Someone, aggravates you or tries to aggravate you. Who are they trying to aggravate? Is the kind of the
okay,
concept.
like that.
Um, so my drive at that point came to be, how do I embody this all the time? Not just while sitting down, not while just doing the practices. I want this because this is where I feel most clear, most pure, and is where I can perform the best. Um, in the beginning, it was a performance drive because I wanted to see my numbers of lucid dreams come up. I wanted, you know, 8, 12, 15, 30 lucid dreams a month. And so it became very gun ho, very like going to the gym. I know I want to do this because I want some certain result. Um, Coming into now, it's less like that. It's more of a maintenance. How do I keep this body, mind, functioning at a level that I need it to function to operate in the way that I want it to operate? Uh, I want to know what your progression was, what you started to notice that through that clarity, some challenges that came up in your daily life that would take away that clarity, and then some things that you had. I know this is a lot of questions. This will be the last one. That progression you didn't think or expect to see that was maybe more euphoric or more visual. Yeah, that's what I'm interested in.
Okay. One thing that stood out that you said, oh, becoming the observer. And I don't know if you said this exactly, but like somebody angering you or trying to anger you, and like who's getting angered or what's being angered. And I totally forgot that that's even an outcome of meditation. This awareness to feel something come up within the moment. Again, coming back to anger. So that it really triggered me. It triggered a memory. It's like when it would show up younger, it'd be afterwards like, oh, I got angry versus, whoa, my body got warm. There's like a closing at my throat, like a trembling in my hands, or my palms got sweaty. Mom spaghetti, I totally so silly. It I forgot about that. So thank you. Yeah, and I that's been huge for me. It totally on a tangent here. I remember taking a public speaking class in college, and I think it was one of our final assignments. And I just remember this moment of I think I feel like everything just rose.
Yeah,
It's like I was like, okay, okay, I'm gonna be okay. Like this didn't take command, it didn't overtake me. And at that point, I had been, teaching yoga, so I had spent some time in front of people. But public speaking had always terrified me. I mean, I was so afraid of public speaking. I remember where I could have an A in class, I would get a C because I didn't want to speak for an assignment in school. Talking to girls, just looking at my shoelaces while they're talking to me, just totally nervous. And that's a good moment to think about that meditation and sitting with self. Like I had to show up to the practice to overcome or recognize or feel or get to know myself. And yeah, that always stands out. And it's come before, and I'm not don't always expect it. Um, I'm no longer afraid of it. I'm excited to like, oh, the nerves just came up, and to have them fade away and to just be with them as they come up. That's something really cool to look back upon. Um, Certainly wasn't like that my first meditation, and I remember it. It was my grandmother's house in Stockton, California, and I think I took a seated position. I imagine I was in lotus. So I've been practicing for a while, so I was like, do it in lotus, dude." So, and it was probably 5 minutes, and I left pissed off, just like I can't stop thinking. Like this is stupid. This sucks. I- I'm so angry. It's like I can't do this. I don't think I meditated again for a year. He's like, this isn't like I can't do this. It's I guess there was an expected outcome or performance. Like I'm supposed to do really good at this. This is supposed to look a certain way. I'm supposed to immediately be somewhere. And I hadn't heard that from anybody else that I guess my entire life that, you're going to start things and you're not going to be that great at them and it's okay. And even meditation, it's, it's going to be, nobody speaks about that, that you might sit and be angry for 5, 20, an hour, and that's okay. Great job. You were in meditation. And even now, having meditated for I don't know how many years, that still comes up. And those are the best times to sit with self. Recently was going through some heartbreak, and while there was some challenge there, I recognize it as a great opportunity. Like, oh, I know this hurts, but I'm open right now. I want to dive into that, into my heart. And meditations have been so powerful since. Like when I'm angry, that's the time to sit down and sit with this. And yeah, there might be moments where I do energize the anger or the story, where I'm like, okay, I'll get taken away by it. And then sometimes by the end, I'm like, oh, I can very much choose something else. I can choose to write it. I can choose to not. I can finally laugh at the end of this. You asked a lot of questions. I forgot all of them.
That's all right.
But yeah, it's meditation looks and can show up in many different ways, from you living a life of meditation to being seated to even finding meditation through movement. I want to get back to your questions.
Yeah,
Please ask them again.
let's see if I can. Well, one of them was your progression through meditation,
Okay.
and what was some unexpected outcomes of those meditations.
Unexpected. I never imagined that I would be able to meditate within a 26 and 2 class. I remember that when I was practicing a lot, and there were a few teachers that I really trusted. I knew that they're really dialogue driven. It was a very structured practice. There was some safety there. And I would just focus on my breath. I would be right here. I don't think the mics will pick that up, but I could just hear and feel the sound of my breath at my throat. Like an ujjayi type breath. I swear that class would just blink of an eye. It was wild. I never expected that, and I haven't felt it since. Um, I guess classes are just ran a little differently at times. I hope to bring that to students. Um, like, okay, you've been practicing now. We do the same poses. This is a familiar scene setting, and you can go deeper. And I really recommend that for a development of someone's practice to learn how to sit. Like I'll get into my whole Vipassana story later, but that's where I learned how I like to sit in meditation. I like to kneel. Even better when I have like a block or zafu underneath me for some support. It's challenging on my knees, especially towards the end of like say an hour session, but I can keep upright. It doesn't bother my back. Where for my body, when I'm cross-legged, I just start to fold a bit, and I get a lot of tension in my low back, and it takes me out. And also, I'm always oriented in the same position in my room. I have my mat set. I like to sit facing a certain direction. I set up the same way, often the same time of the day. And similar to how I feel in the 26 and 2 and the structure of it, and even the practices that we offer at the men's group, just I know we're doing the same thing over and over again, but that allows you to go deeper. I come to my seated position. This is familiar. There's less thought, less attachment. Like, what am I doing? I've done this before. I know how to breathe. I've been with my breath. I've been with myself. I've moved up and down. I have felt my emotions. I've come closer to self, and it really feels like that. I am sitting with myself. Like it's Jeff and his soul, and they're coming together, and then there's a third coming in, a mother and father, and it's beautiful. So it really is sitting with self in so many ways of cosmic, soul, which I'm looking to birth into this matter or life, and the story of Jeff Jones. Breath has always been huge for me to come back to center and be aware, be in the moment. And this is what I tell my students. At least my mind has a hard time arguing with breath. And like, this is happening right now. I'm doing it. I'm literally like, opening myself up, making myself available to this moment, and I can follow along with it and like choose how I want to flow. If I want some intensity, do I need to slow it down? You just be with breath, breathing low, feeling stomach move, and then being with the sound of breath. Just taking time there. Um, so we both work with sound. I just noticed that. Mine is sound of breath. We've had, I guess, one other opportunity to speak about meditation. I don't get this opportunity. If you could tell, I'm kind of excited. I'm excited about this subject. I'm always curious, like, what it looks like, because I know what I'm doing. I'm happy to share what it looks like when I am meditating and practicing. So I was really excited, interested, and invested in what you had to say when we spent time together. And you told me about sound and took me through some visualization. I, I found that you were really good at that as well. And I don't always implement those into my practice.
We talked about stability in a process. Um, you can't do a cartwheel and start a plane and think the plane's gonna fly right. You need to be able to sit in a spot that's comfortable, that is available, a space that's available. What I mean by that is that you don't have to do the dishes, your washing machine, your whatever isn't going on. You
Mhm.
have time. Nothing else is going to distract you. That's major, at least. But it will come up that your mind's going to distract you for whatever kind of drama that played out through the day, whatever you identified with throughout the day, and whatever you put some value on through the day, and all the stories that you continue to tell yourself without being conscious of it. These will start to rise up, especially in the beginning of practicing. And what you need to do is become aware of that's there, but there has to be a process of cleansing, cleaning the slate, cleaning the plate so that something else can be put on it, real food, um, the food for evolution within your meditation practice.
Mhm.
And I found that sound, working with the chakra centers and the sounds that abide with those, and to feel into that energy. So if it's so hum, it's in my crown. If it's om, it's in my pineal. Lower centers, lam, vam. I really want to stick to that, and that sound soothes my nervous system. There's nothing else to focus on, and it's just like that picture, or in that case, a letter that I focus on in that calm, abiding Sein. Nothing else is there to distract you. And once you do that, once you get really deep in the process, and you'll see when you breathe in and you're not making the sound, that there will be some residuals. There'll be the day coming in, there'll be the thoughts coming in. And then you make the sound again, and nothing's there. It's just the sound. There can't be anything else there. And you do that for 15 minutes and you stop, everything's silent. And it's almost a shock. It's like, wow, there is silence. There is a realm, a position of being that isn't driven by the analytical mind. And then this is the space to implement the practice. We talked about visualization. I'll go through a very quick visualization. Once you get established in that silence, see some of the thoughts coming in and telling yourself, this is okay. Feeling the energy rising up, floating, being distracted, not being distracted. But you'll start to notice that the mind in its play is a form of energy. And if it's not in its play, the energy circulating through the body or is within one of those energy centers. in visualization, I like to bring up a guru, and which can be myself, a higher version of myself. And I've talked about this before, that embodies different qualities that I may be lacking or that I need. And I see those qualities, I feel those qualities energetically, and I let that come into me and I play that out. I let my mental feed on that. What does that feel like? What does that look like? You know, interacting throughout the day or just being with that. How can I embody it? What does it feel like? I know I said that, but what what is it that I am not? And how does that energize me? What is that energy? Is that energy more visceral, more enjoyable than what I was experiencing before my meditation? And I become
Hmm.
comfortable with that. I become friendly with that. And and that's my macro dose of meditation, is the sitting meditation for 30 minutes to an hour. And again, starts with the process. I can come into micro dosing meditation throughout your day. And this becomes much easier once your practice is established, because you become familiar with your states of clarity, states of joy, whatever you want to bring up. If it's confidence, whatever you need, bring it into that meditation space, and you'll be able to access it in those micro meditation moments, those micro doses of meditation. Stop, breathe, start your, if it's sound, do your sound in your head. If it's just breathing, hearing your breath, and that will bring you back habitually into that state of clarity.
Hmm.
If you're doing it,
Hmm.
it becomes a habit, becomes a skill, and use that throughout your day to establish yourself in that form of meditation. And then you'll continue to see those gaps of clarity becoming larger, or you'll see them becoming shorter and smaller. And you know that there's some work to be done, that maybe you're neglecting your practice, or there is something that is challenging you. And just stick with it, stick with your challenges for sure.
Yeah. Okay, I like that. And you mentioned finding some clarity and in what you do with practice, that you can immediately come back to it, even when you're, say, microdosing, like you said, your meditation. Like you can be triggered by something familiar, which could be breath, could be some sound, and just bring you right back in, bring you right back in. And finding that after having been practicing, and same thing in your macro, when you're at home, maybe at your altar, you have the crystal that you want to work with, and you have it all set up, and have space that you're going to go right in. You've seen all these doors open. You're primed. You go deeper into meditation because of it. It sounded like you were saying, correct me if I'm wrong. This is just what I was thinking, what came up. Like I can sit with versions of myself, maybe that are present, or versions of myself that I would like to see. Like, let me try these pants on. Like, oh wow, like I'm envisioning myself as a, let's say, very confident person. How does that feel? Is there something there that, like, is telling me no? Is there some fear that comes up? Is there a contradiction? I never looked at it that way. Like, yeah, you can try things out and envision yourself as a way, or an archetype, or a guru, or call in Michael, call in Sri Aurobindo, and embody that for a moment and see what parts of yourself you've neglected, or what's the word? Try to like push it away, or afraid of this type of power, and you holding it, feeling it. That's amazing. I
Yeah.
never thought of that.
Yeah. It's parts of your body that rather be in the cycle that they're used
Mm,
to.
yeah.
Um, yeah.
Damn. Yeah. Wow, that's powerful. While we're on that topic, meditation and something Sri Aurobindo said, wrote, I read it, that as much as he and we look to ascend, that there's also a descension as well. Like the higher we go, The deeper we can go into the depths of humanity and darkness, and it becomes available because you have the tools and can begin to bring light into those matters.
And that's what I didn't understand in the beginning of my meditation is I would have these great, realizations of clarity and then this absolute darkness. I never
Mhm,
understood what that was for or why that was. I didn't think it was part of the process,
mhm,
honestly. I thought that was my worldly self, my negative, my wrong self, this dark side. And it was something to be not shunned, but not to be worked upon. It was that, no, you need to look at the light, you need to look at the clarity. And once I realized that, or once I, again, Sri Aurobindo brought that to my attention, it was a lot more workable. It was
mhm,
calmer. The soil was there to be fertilized. It wasn't there to be neglected. And it wasn't so hellacious. It wasn't so dramatic. It wasn't so, this is the end and this is me. It was almost like, this is great. I
yeah,
know that I have the ability to till that soil that is dark and then to plant the seeds that are fertile that will bring more fertility. And it takes courage to do that. So again, another reason why to do your visualization of courage. If you're feeling these dark feelings, and we'll say if you're feeling light, bring in some of these dark feelings and then bring the light that you already have into it. It's much more difficult to work with dark feelings and bring light in there if there's no light. And that's why guru meditation, which is the visualization of the guru, the mother, Lord, Christ, coming in and bringing that light into you.
mhm,
Again, I forget the word. Delegate some of this pain, some of this darkness to something higher than
mhm,
yourself because you trust it more. And I think that's where faith comes in. And faith has always been a challenge through my meditation, but it's absolutely a necessity. It's the water
mhm.
that brings forth fruit in meditation.
I like that.
Yeah,
Surrender.
yeah, sure.
I want to talk about some basic practice and then get more into like my journey of meditation. I mean, past into now, I feel a lot more. I feel clearly like I can navigate better. It's always just been I'm seated, I feel safe where I'm at, and just choose to breathe. I'm breathing in and out through my nose, making sure that my belly's moving. I listen to the sound of my breath. I keep coming back to that present moment. Keep coming back to that. And when I say that, I mean it could be 5, 10 minutes where I've gone away. I'm thinking about my day, thinking about something. I'm frustrated. Like, oh, let me come back to breath. And I trust it because one, I can choose it. I'm doing it. I feel like I have some control. And I know that this is happening right now. And for as long as I'm going to be in this form, I'm going to be breathing. This is it's a tool, it's a gift. I'm going to learn how to wield it, keep using it, keep coming back to breath. And over some time, it'll be easier to come back. You'll recognize much more quickly when you step away. And maybe you allow yourself. I think imagination is amazing. Like, oh, I want to step in and kind of create this thing and see myself there, to be both there and here. And like, okay, I went too far, or wow, my mind really drifted into this or that. No thanks. And come back to present moment, come back to reality. I'm here. And there's just some freedom with that. You can really travel. And that's what meditation has looked like for a long time. Even the first time I did it, there was just I thought that it would be quiet. And actually, when we sit with self, and I try to like weave this into my yin classes, when we are finally still and quiet, we can begin to notice the more subtle movements inside of ourselves. And usually that's thought. That's thought. And that's why students will like hot Pilates or moving fast or just moving and doing something, louder music. Um, it does provide some relief. This kind of takes a back seat for a moment, but then it comes right back in full force. And there's no recognition that it's back and forth. Um, or sitting with self and in silence. Whoa, this is really loud. And then taking some time, I've always told students like, okay, here's this record that it's spinning. It keeps playing. That's a pretty good song. I like that. I remember I did that. That was cool. Yeah, I like that. Oh, food. I like food. We're gonna eat today. We're gonna eat later after this. And then it goes through it again and again. Man, that same story.
Yeah, and you can see how sometimes how distorted it is. Like, this doesn't make any sense whatsoever. This has no jurisdiction towards reality.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with this moment.
Mhm.
Like, it's not really serving me. And I mean, I have found myself like, wow, this happened decades ago. Why am I thinking about this right now? Like, how this has dominion over me moment to moment in my days. Like it's present, and maybe it's not my favorite thing to think about, but I'm doing it. I think it deserves some attention and to bring some light to it and to let it surface for it to be felt, to be let go of. And yeah, spending time in meditation, you'll start to recognize like where you go. Wow. What's really stood out for me as I've been I think, was mentored by Amir Khaligi in Body Masculine and taken through some of his meditations, guided meditations. Oh, even in Vipassana, I remember there was and I'll explain what Vipassana is, but in short, we were asked to scan our body. I couldn't feel this side of my body. I could feel everything else, but this side I couldn't. Years later, I'm working with Embodied Masculine, being taken through a guided meditation. Same thing, challenging to feel this place. But I had the tools to finally go into it, and I discovered so much about myself. And I think that's it's great for you all to know. Like it starts with, okay, can I be seated with self and just be present? Okay, now what can I feel? I can feel myself breathing. I can feel myself touching the earth. I can feel my clothes. It's hot. I'm sweating. There's fluctuations of heat, temperature in body. Well, I can feel my heartbeat. There's things always going on physiologically in body. And then there's energy. And then I have found that the places that are really challenging to feel, that's where the gold's hidden. We'll find those areas, the things that we've shoved away, that we tried to forget, and it makes sense that it shows up later because we finally we have the tools now. We're ready for this, and it'll slowly start to appear. What is that? Whoa. If this had come into my body and if I felt all of this years ago, I think it would have been too much for me. Too much too quick, and I would have pushed it away again. But I'm ready for it. So I just want you to know that areas of self, I believe that's where we're going. The things that we forgot. We're trying to remember. We're here to remember.
Yeah, you're given access to those things. Recently, I was given access to a certain amount of energy that's stemming from my core, the very root of myself, and I couldn't handle it. I had that energy was being guided by a divine principle, but then was within the world, and the world and myself and my attachment to things swayed it, and I couldn't hold it. It takes a skill to be able to hold this kind of energy. And if your practice isn't like drinking or eating water, geez, drinking water or eating, that you have to do it, that it's something that is religious that you do, some of these things will disappear. They'll be put to the side because your body isn't able to hold those things. or if you feel that this great amount of energy, this new awakening, this new clarity, and there's a certain part of you that doesn't want it or doesn't have the authority to wield it in a way that is beneficial for yourself and the people around you, uh, it can be taken away from you by yourself or by the world powers that be.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I don't want people to be discouraged by that. Um, these great highs and then lows. We talk about going deeper,
Mhm.
but just continue with the practice. No matter how low you get, you went on a binger or whatever it may
Mhm.
be, you feel that you've hurt somebody or you hurt yourself in in some way, don't stop. That's very easy too.
Mhm.
Because your body, this vital body, doesn't need it. Sometimes I'd rather not have it. So make it habit, make it habitual, especially your macro doses.
Mhm. Yeah, I totally agree. Like, it doesn't have to look a certain way. I know that's come up for me a lot where I have a deep meditation. They have been very deep. And I think I mentioned this to you before where there was a fear that started coming up that it won't be as deep. Or I overate today. I'm not worthy for my meditation or for depth. And yeah, I'm much more okay with meditating and it's like, okay, like there was a lot there today. And it was a lot of thinking and wow, I thought for 25 minutes and I've done amazing things with meditation and this doesn't feel amazing. It feels like I let myself down or I'm letting something down. It's okay. Meditation's gonna be like that sometimes. It's you showing up to the plate. Just show up, come home. It may look different from the last time and it's perfectly okay. Just your willingness to show up shows a lot. And that's gonna be seen by the unseen. Be recognized. I like to speak about Vipassana. Um, that was huge for me. It's really, it's the right word, shaped how I teach. And you can do this m- anywhere, really. I mean, you can meditate anywhere. They have centers for Vipassana, and it's by donation. And I know I live in Utah. Many of you from Utah, plenty in California. My California brothers and sisters, both California, New Zealand, miss y'all. But here in Utah, Idaho Springs, I think is what it's called. Maybe 3 hours of a drive. There's a center there. They're all over the world. You're there for 10 days. You meditate. I know I'm not going to get all of this accurate. Feel free to sound off in the comments. I believe roughly 14, 16 hours of the day, you're in meditation. You don't speak for 10 days. I think that might be scary for some. I know I'm talking my head off right now, but I like silence and solitude. So it was beautiful. For like the first 3 days, we were asked to just be here, breathing by nose. One point, one area, get used to feeling it, being in breath. It's kind of a challenging place to be. Just one point. It's not asking you to feel your head or feel your legs, your nose. Can you feel like a cool air where you may be sweating on your upper lip? What nostril is dominant? And giving a small area, you'll notice when you're thinking about something else, when you're not strictly on the area of nose and breath, you'll notice. And then after that, they then told us to start to scan your body up and down. So we had a few days to hone in one area, then boom, we can go everywhere. And again, I was able to feel everything with this one side of my body. My my feminine side, and I'll hold this wound there. There's a part of myself that feels like I'm ugly and that I should keep you away from me. That's what I found out later. In Vipassana, I couldn't understand. Like, I know that I've had some back problems over there, that it manifested in pain. I didn't know what was deeper in there. But it did stand out that, wow, I'm having a hard time feeling this area. I think like day 5, I'm sitting in meditation and it felt like somebody flicked my forehead. Literally, my head went back for the next couple of days, even into the evening, just buzzing, buzzing. And that's how my energy centers show up for me. It's like a vibration. And that's remained open. I don't know if I felt the crown on my head during Vipassana, but it was maybe a month after I was in Hong Kong teaching. And I remember having the vibration top of my head and sticking to Vipassana. Remember the final day. This was huge for just me as a teacher and somebody who wants to share and come from experience. I don't remember what I was asked, but Vipassana was done with. 10 days were up, and I don't remember my first words, but I answered someone's question, and before I could finish, I just burst out in laughter. Like my entire head vibrated because of my voice and my words. And I mean, most people never shut up, to be honest. Was talking all the time. And to be without it for so many days and then to speak, what one vibration is real. It's ringing throughout my body, and I can put intention behind it. I can say something. I am love. I am light. I love you. And not only can it vibrate true within myself, I can give this to you. And it really showed me like how blessed I am to be able to teach and have people in front of me and that I can share a vibration and have intention and that this is real and that this matters and where this was noticed in a big way, I guess macro, it's a word coming up for me. My thoughts are doing the same thing. It's a little more subtle, but a vibration is real. And that was massive for me. And I recommend this for anyone. It's available. I know take time away to go sit down and be uncomfortable for 10 days. So it changed my life. And I also learned how to sit there. I was cross-legged, a bunch of pillows underneath me, a couple. I figured out kneeling gets the job done. I can keep my chest up. It really, really was the standing point, the base for so much. I had been meditating, taking time to sit with myself, connect with breath, but it's like it was concentrated. It really opened me up. That was it was massive. Vipassana was huge for me. Um, I want to hear anything else that you have to share, and and then as we start to bring this to a close, there's no rush to do that. I want to hear about what today's meditation looks like and feels like for you.
No. I think one thing's about thoughts that we can start to work with is the idea that they don't come from us.
Mm,
That our thoughts are a vibration from the outside, and it's our perception is a sense. Thought is a sense, and this maybe sound pretty hoo-ha, but think about it as that you're a receiver and you've trained yourself to receive certain frequencies.
yes.
And as these frequencies come in, you only grab the ones that you've been habitually grabbing
Mm,
over a period of time. You can train yourself to be a block of these receivers to build your aura through meditation, your shield, uh, to mitigate, to relax these receptions. Asking me about what my meditation looks like today.
mhm,
I come in, I sit down, I look at my altar, I feel myself in the seated position, I feel myself within the thoughts that I have. I come into my voice or my chanting or whatever that may be. It may be as simple as a om or a full japa. and I calm that nervous system, I calm that thought, I focus just solely on that. And once that's established, I can relax. I can see that there's more space to be had, to feel, to experience. I let some of the deeper thoughts come up, the things that are more, again, deep, things that are more harsh and that need to be worked, need to be soothed out, need to be calmed, that are contributing to the pain throughout the day that's causing these thoughts, to causing these attachments to certain views of myself or views of the world. And once I understand those, I can come to a spot where what is the opposite of this? What is the solution? What is the qualities that I want in replacement of this? If I'm encountering distractions throughout my day, and it may be in a particular form, how do I want to approach this? How do I want to attack it? How do I want to process it? And then through that processing it, how clear can I make myself after it? Some of these more unavoidable things. So that's what my meditations looks like. They're very simple. I will come into some visualization, and I'll sometimes will let that go if I know that I'm stable enough where it won't be driven by habitual thought. And sometimes those visualizations or some indicators of where I need to be working on, or they may be visions of the Mother, Lord, and I try to stick with those. And again, I make myself familiar with them, that feeling that encompasses the body that I can stay with and feel secure. I think that stability and calmness is the currency of your meditation. And sometimes you're spending that currency by acting out loudly, talking loudly, engaged in activities that are against against wisdom, eating too much, again, talking too loud, exerting yourself too far. You're spending some of that currency. So use your currency wisely. And what I mean by that is use your life wisely so that that currency can be spent in moderation. So when you come back to your meditation, that currency is high, and then you can build upon it with your macro dosing of meditation. How do you get started in your meditation? I know that you have a shrine, but how do you get into a spot where you know that you can get the most out of your meditation?
Okay. Before I get there, I want to point out, or I remember when we spoke about meditation the first time, and you spoke of visualization and of a visualization,
Yeah.
and it still stands out to me today.
You want me to go into that?
If you want to.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I
Oh,
can
wow.
go into
Okay.
that.
Oh, what a treat.
So in this visualization, I start with the purification of the body, purification of the mind, so everything's clear. And what I do with that is come into the energy centers, clear the energy centers. And once I have that, I create in my mind a blue sky and nothing within that blue sky. And I breathe with that and I sit with that. And any thought that comes up, I come back to that blue sky. And then I add a desert, a landscape that's barren. And within that barren landscape, I add features of the land, hills, anything that creates depth, that creates a three-dimensional scape. And I like to think this as kind of the base of the world. It's dirty, it's doesn't have any life-sustaining force. And I now bring upon the floods, bring upon the rain, the clouds, the moisture into this landscape. And within that landscape, the seeds are now being sown. They're being germinated. And those seeds are creating a landscape that can now have life on it. This life energy is circulating and it's sustaining insects, it's sustaining very small forms of life. And the sun's out And these things start to grow, and life is being more and more sustained. And I like to think this as the beginning of time where things are more simple, that there's less energy that we've created that interferes with the purity, the clarity. And then I add myself, and I'm always within the scape, but now I am a physical being within the center of this world. And everything that's happening around me is evolving, it's growing. And now that there's other people there with me, and they don't necessarily notice me, they're just doing what they need to do to survive. They're interacting with the environment, they're giving life to the environment through their energy as this energy continues to build and build. And they're doing what they need to do to survive, to bring forth the next generation. They're bringing forth a religion or a meditation, more likely, a way of being that is within the divine, as this whole world is within the divine. And I be within that space, in the space of clarity and purity, within the activity. A lot of this activity that we have brings us outside of the clarity, brings us more into the obscure, the clouded spaces. And these clouded spaces melt away, and I come into a spot where humanity, us as humans, can interact with the world purely and with intention to be within a divine space. And again, I'll say this once more. What does that feel like? How does that make you want to live your life? How much of that can you take with you and feel and then release and come back into this world of yourself? And so that's the basic meditation. And you can do that with any kind of visualization, any kind of space. Another one that's very simple is being out in the middle of the ocean. I'm on a platform and out in the middle of the ocean, there's no distraction. That's the purity. Sometimes it's a storm, but storms is a cleansing. Make it electrical, make it powerful, and then make it calm. So that was the basic gist of the meditation I shared with
Mm.
you. Um, yeah.
So what we work on, Vivify Humanity, particularly the men's practice, visualization. Ask you to visualize basic things. Just take that tool back, imagination, reclaim it, use it, get used to using it, develop it again, and becoming sensitive to self, feeling self. I remember the first time you painted that picture and you painted it well. I was also able to receive it and I could imagine myself there. And I got a sense of what it would be like to be there. Those people, the blue sky, everything. And it stood out to me that I can take myself somewhere. It's the beginnings of like manifesting this, bringing it in and allowing myself to feel it and where that may not be my exact experience right now. And maybe you're going through something. You can begin to visualize yourself somewhere else. And remember after that day that you spoke to me, like it felt like I was there. Like I felt like I could speak about it, what it feels like to be in that community, living that lifestyle.
Last thing I'll recommend, if you're reading a book on a particular person that you find that their qualities and their aspects of their life resonate with you and you want to be more like them, go into a visualization where you talk to that person.
Mm.
And then go into a visualization of you embodying them and their qualities and in their spirit. And take the best qualities of them and put it within you, and you'll start to notice yourself either feeling a certain way or acting a certain way. And again, everything's about consistency. Continue to do it. Continue to work with that persona. Continue to work with your own development of yourself and your own self-study. Continue to study yourself. Understand any kind of diversion from where you want to be, and be kind to it. Understand that you can bring it back, and this form and this mind is malleable, and most likely will always be malleable if you're open to it. Continue to keep open, continue to bring softness into where parts were are rigid.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're seeing yourself being rigid in a part that you feel proud of, have pride for something, challenge it, challenge your pride.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, those are
thank you,
key.
Jeff. You're fantastic stories that you shared today. So very excited for that.
Thank you. It's nice sharing space, and well, I could feel my heart, and yeah, I trust you a lot. So it feels really good. It feels nice that I could quickly drop in and kind of and trust you. I have a hard time giving my trust. I trust you a lot. I'd like to finish with, oh, how I meditate, what that looks like. It's usually showing up in the evening, and I also need to like stretch. So it's more yin-like restorative stretches, deeper breathing, 5, 15-minute poses if I really need it. Just like sitting in them. It just grounds me, gets me a little closer to home. And then well, I have this little device that I actually brought and didn't even turn on, but it's supposed to help with EMF waves. So just giving you the full thing. I'll turn that on next to me, but I have a larger one that's always going on in my room.
Well, one thing I'll say, if you're feeling uncomfortable, restorative yoga, yin yoga is definitely something that you want to try to get into. Your hips are tight, chest is tight,
Mm.
get into that. If that's your block to your meditation, or if that's bringing any kind of feelings of anxiety and kinds of feeling of sadness, a lot of that can be worked through a very simple yoga practice before or during your meditation.
I'm
That's
happy we're taking a moment for yin,
yeah,
because now that we are, I recognize that was that was the leap from me starting out. I'm finding 26 and 2, continuing to have a practice, whether I recognize it or not, or is spoken of, it usually isn't in the dialogue. I'm being asked to breathe and be in the moment. There's meditation there. And then when yin happened, I I clearly remember just this letting go, this releasing into the pose and feeling fragile, coming out of it, just like, oh, everything hurt. We're not allowed to feel like that. You're always strong. It's like,
right.
yeah, thanks for helping me to bridge that gap. Like that was a part of the process, and yin has continued to serve me. It was huge to balance everything else out, all the yang into, yeah. I guess I needed to still be active in a way and to know that, oh, I'm gaining, I'm benefiting, I'm stretching, opening, I'm getting more flexible. I have more space in my joints. There's this relief of pain. And I'm also sitting here for 15 minutes, focusing on my breath and finding depth with it, like diving deeper and deeper.
I don't think I've ever found a practice that's more building of that mental courage, that mental resilience than a yin practice. It seems so soft, if you're looking from the outside,
Hmm.
but nothing has translated more in my life to mental resilience than a yin class. And if you're someone who does construction, or you're someone who does a lot of weightlifting, get into a yin class.
Hmm.
It'll change your life.
It really will.
Yeah.
That's huge. So, well, usually it comes most nights. It's a necessity for me. Otherwise, physically, I'm just gonna derail, and then I'm gonna have to do yin for even longer and focus on it for hours. So I get that in. Just ritual, habit, turn on my device. I I take a kneeling position these days. I just sit on my heels and chest up. I usually have my hands like this in my lap. Not too much thought behind it, really. It feels right to do. And that's how I do a lot of stuff. If it feels right, I'm gonna do that. I base a lot of things off of feeling. Feels right to do this. And then I start to breathe. And the way that I breathe, and you can do this, it's just yawn. And then do that with your mouth closed. You're breathing in and out through your nose. You will feel, it'll give you something to feel back of your throat. This is usually where I am, but we're making sure we send breath low. I get my stomach moving because I know if I'm not letting it move, like I'm holding back. I'm kind of not allowing myself to feel fully or surrender. And that's what it's like for a good 15, 20 minutes usually. Thoughts are coming through and it's okay. Sometimes I go with them. Sometimes they're easy to let go of. Just keep coming back to breath. I always notice there's some point where, because my eyes are closed, it's dark in my room. There's this darkness, and then it's like I go back a layer somehow. Like I'm in my body, or it just gets darker somehow, or I recognize like I'm inside witnessing. It's interesting. I feel that there's this, just something happens. And this is just what I feel. If you meditate, this doesn't show up for you, that's fine. You may never meditate or feel the things that I feel, and always be open to what you feel and what's true. You may have a completely different meditation and something to share with us or others. So trust in what you feel. And these days, over some time, and I'll use some visualization. Sometimes I'll visualize a root coming out of my pelvis or my base and pushing into the earth and getting grounded. But usually it's just top of my head. I imagine a ball or an orb and light coming into the top of my head. And I can feel this now. It's just like a tingling top of my head. Sometimes I second guess it because I will have earplugs in and noise canceling headphones on. I'm it's really sensitive to sound. So I like to be sure that like I'm in this, I'm safe and I can go here. And sometimes I'll second guess and like, oh, it's the top of my headphones. That's why I'm feeling it. Or uh, I'm making this up, but I feel a vibration at the top of my head. And I know that I'm open. I'm receiving. And then pretty intensely, this has been a powerful spot. My forehead, my third eye. I feel this vibrate. I have challenge here. And then I can get to my heart and I'll feel here. And I've been doing my best to, and have found some success staying here and choosing to bring divine grace, just kind of break up whatever density is here. So I feel like there's a blockage here. And while I have access, it's kind of like a slower drip. I want to free this up. And that's also what kind of this podcast is for, like allowing myself to finally speak and express. But I'll do some work here, spend some time at my heart. I'm a little less connected with the lower three, but I'll get there. I'd like to spend more time, like really in more like this primal self. And I'm sure that will come in time, but I've been top, top to bottom. And once I do get here, it's like immediate feedback, energy shoots up my body. I'll just get like this wiggle. And then I'm kind of clear up and down. And yeah, all of it's feeling. Can I tell you what's happening? I'm working with my chakras.
Yeah.
It's a feeling, and I I'm proud of myself for being able to kind of let go of the mentalization of like, what is this? How is it working? And that being said, I know that it serves you, but I find that you're really good at it. So I got Joseph to kind of explain.
I never believed in the chakras at first,
Hmm.
as energy centers, until I started working with them without any conceptual backing. What I mean by that is I never studied them. I never listened to what anybody told me about them.
Hmm.
And until I started feeling the top of my head, first thing, and started working with chanting and like, wow, look at these, there is an energy that is stemming from this particular part of my body. And sometimes it's closed and sometimes it's open. Sometimes it's very powerful and I can't do anything about it to control it. And sometimes it's dark. I mean, I recently remember um, my navel ROM, the solar plexus, and it just being as primal as could be, just as dark, as red as could be. And that was another kind of solidification of there is energy here. I never believed it or really wanted to believe it. It's just some kind of, and I still don't look for what somebody else tells me about it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to experience it. I want
Mm-hmm.
to feel if it's open, if it's closed, and if my heart space isn't open, I know I'm not going to be able to express myself as much. It's just that energy there. Is that energy there or is it not? Um, Darn, there's something that I wanted to say. Oh, embody. Last thing about embodiment. I like to use this term or this little mantra, which is, I'm the embodiment of all creation. And sometimes I'll choose what that means. It's the whole world, is it the universe? And I try to feel what all of creation is. And I try to bring that into myself. I am not anything but that, the embodiment of all of creation.
Mm-hmm.
And that seems to open up those centers because there's no restriction of what it can't not be. And I think that's most likely what that energy is. That energy is a piece of the entire puzzle and piece of the entire universe of all of creation that's within this physical body that will be somewhere else. Either we take it with us or it's taken somewhere else, but it is giving animation to this life.
Mm-hmm.
And we have the ability to cultivate it, to feel it, maybe not understand it, but to know that it's there and play with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Over and over, you said like there's things that you do, things that have worked for you, that really resonate with you. And yeah, whenever in my life I've tried to do something someone else's way, like I'm really good at my way. And in the past, I would be like, well, that's really egotistical. I remember finishing up a men's retreat or group. We had an intensive, and one of the guys finished up by saying, I can't remember for verbatim, but just that he's going to bring his offering and pour his offering his way. I was like, damn, dude. All right. Your way, huh? And it took me a while to realize, well, what is my way? That's, that's my heart's way. That's what I've been going toward. That's what I've been opening. My way is my heart's way. And I trust in that fully.
And if you don't use that as a challenge, I start to learn to love challenges, especially those
Hmm.
challenges of authenticity,
Hmm.
of giving forth what you are, and practice that, and practice giving it to others. And even me now, sometimes it's such a anxiety or such a worry to give that out. And that stemmed from conditioning from my youth growing up, that wasn't accepted, and then from school there's no opportunity, and any opportunities most likely shut down. It's the way, you solve this equation this way. It's the
Hmm.
only way that you can do it.
Hmm.
So take the opportunity anytime that you can, everyone, to practice giving that authenticity. There's some words there I'm not coming up with, but
I like that. I'll finish up with one more thing and we'll close this out. I got to speak with Kadia, told you, had a session with her. And I don't know if even saying my goal of meditation, or I guess what has excited me about meditation and what has like made sense, what really rings true for me is that I'm I'm making space and inviting in, like inhaling. This is me. I am open. I am available. I am calling in through breath, yes, but some intention. Divine Mother and her divine grace to help like, beautify this container, like clean it up. Like, let's get to there's some cobwebs here. Let's dust up. Let's get some light in here. It smells like a 13-year-old's room. Let's open the doors, open the windows, get some fresh air in here. Let's make this a beautiful container, a womb of sorts, and make space for divine will to come in, for those two to work, Shiva and Shakti, and like nourish and give birth to my soul and bring that into matter to walk around the earth as my soul. And I think this could be a little bit challenging for men to be a womb, to give birth to something energetic, cosmic. I think that could be challenging for many male, those who identify as male. I take up that challenge and sit with that you can give birth in that sense, that you can birth something, just like you have birthday business, a concept or idea. You can birth your soul into this world.
Fall in love with them.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, this has been great, Joseph. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Hope you. I know that this has been some value. This was awesome. I'm super excited about this. I was excited to do it, and this may also leave you with questions. Again, we're available. You can find me Vivify_Jeff on Instagram, Vivify Humanity here on YouTube. Sound off at the comments, send a direct message, hop on the Patreon. You can communicate with us there. Um, thank you for all of your support. Likes, subscribe, all of it makes a big difference in not only supporting us, but in getting this message out into the world and bringing some more to the light, to the foot of the mother. Another great podcast. Thank you for joining us on this journey. I'll see you guys next time.